All right, so we are live again. And Facebook, bear with me for a second. Facebook ain't giving me no issues, or at least if it is issues, they're not telling me there's any issues. But Instagram tells me when there's issues, and it wasn't coming through the way it's supposed to. So I have this theory that if I stop it and start it over, then Instagram actually sends the live to more people, and that is actually proven true. So now they're actually showing it to y'all. I think the first time I did it, it wasn't going through, so it wasn't showing it to anybody. All right, so now people are actually seeing that I'm live. So for those of y'all who are checking in, shout yourselves out in the comment section. We're going to get right into it. For those of you who are not familiar with me, what's going on? Kiel, if I'm pronouncing your name right, Kiel, good afternoon to you. Tell me your name and where you are checking in from as y'all are coming into this. Shout out to everybody watching on Facebook. Shout yourselves out in the comment section as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I'm the author of 33 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I created this whole brand called Work on Your Game. And what this brand is about, what this whole framework over here, Work on Your Game, is about, is taking the mental tools, the strategies, and the systems and the accountability to help athletes get to the top 1% in sports. And we translate all that stuff over from the sports world to the business world to help professionals like yourselves perform at your highest possible level, be consistent at performing at your highest level. And of course, I mean, why do we go to work every day? To make money. All right, that's what we're doing here. So that's what this is about. So everybody knows where I'm coming from. Everybody knows why I'm doing it, where it came from, and you all know where we're going. So I told you all of that right there. Lonzo checking in from San Luis Obispo, California. Shout out to California. I was out there last month and it was kind of cold. It was rainy and cold when I was out in Southern California. I preferred Miami weather. It's more humid. I prefer humidity. I don't like arid weather. But shout out to California. North Carolina is in the building. Shout out to North Carolina. I got a lot of friends in North Carolina. And today's topic, what we're going to talk about is aiming higher, why you need to aim higher. I touched on this in the reel that I posted on IG and Facebook and a bunch of other places today. Some of y'all are going to be watching this on replay, so it doesn't really matter what day it was. But aiming higher. I remember I was listening to Tony Robbins had did this. He was doing one of his live events, and he said, sometimes somebody comes to his event and they grab the microphone, or not grab the mic, but he's asking for questions. Somebody gets up on the mic and they say, well, I want to make more money. And Tony says, okay, here's $1. There you go. There's your more money. You got more money than you had a minute ago. You got one extra money. And the thing is, the reason why he uses that as an example, the reason why I'm bringing it up, is that many times people say that they want to go to a higher level, but you are not specific enough about what level you want to get to, why you want to get there. And when you are not specific about what you want, why you want to get there, and how you want to get there, or when, you're not giving yourself a deadline to actually get it done. What happens is, because those goals are so impotent, you could say that you have goals, but never really make that much of an advance simply because you haven't set yourself up to win. So it's the structure. Same way that people ask me about discipline, Dre, what's the key to being more disciplined? Is not forcing yourself to be disciplined, is putting the structure in place that makes the discipline an easy byproduct of your process. So on another level, it's another thing that we do when it comes to our aims is that we work really hard for a certain outcome. We could have put that same effort towards a much greater outcome. In other words, we set goals that are too small. So somebody says they want to make more money. Well, okay, $5 is more money. It's more than you had a minute ago. Technically, is more money. So that's why we got to get very, very clear. And yeah, the 150-year plan, you heard me talk about that in my, I talked about that in YouTube and on my podcast as well, probably on one of these reels as well. So today is not about you putting in more effort, and it's not about you putting more time into what you're doing. As Kiel just said there, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, putting in more time comes with diminishing returns, because at some point you don't have the energy to keep putting in more hard work. And secondly, eventually you're going to run out of time. All right? Everybody who's listening to this, regardless of when you are consuming it, given today's technology and what we know about science as of today, I'm recording this in the spring of 2023, everybody's going to die. All right? Nobody has disrupted the concept of death just yet. All right, so everybody is going to die, which means you can't keep adding time to a situation. You can't just keep saying, I'm going to put more time in, or I'm going to try it on my own for a while and see what happens, because that's not going to work. You are going to eventually run out of time. So if you don't, I got another pause connection there. Or if you have taken the time, or you take more time than you need to take to get to your outcome, you'll have less time with which you can enjoy the outcome that you've achieved. Or even if you do achieve the outcome, it'll take you too long to get there. So we want to make sure we're cutting down on the time. We're making sure we're cutting down on the inaccurate formula of just working harder or going harder at what you do, even though there is a value in going hard at what you do. But just continuing to go harder every time something's not working that's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable process. So let's get to it. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is why you need to aim higher. First thing you need to understand is work no matter what you do. All right. There's nothing wrong with working. So when I say working harder is an inaccurate formula, that's true. It is an inaccurate formula to just keep working harder every time you are faced with a challenge, because there's only so much more hard work that any human being can do before you can't work any harder than you're already working. 100% is the most capacity any human being can give. So if you're giving 80% right now, well, you only got 20% more to go. Once you get to that 100%, you can't do anything more than what you're doing. Therefore, it's not just more hard work that you need if you are not quite at the ideal outcome that you want to be at yet. So what you need to do is start asking yourself a better quality question. Here's the thing. Hard work is hard work no matter what level you are achieving at. So let me ask you a question. Do you know of, or are you, or have you ever been, or ever known somebody who worked really hard all the time, every day, yet they had very, very low quality results? They had like bottom of the barrel results. Think of somebody like a maintenance man or the custodian at a building that you work at or the place where you go to school. Does the maintenance man or custodian work hard? Hell yeah, they work hard. Those are hard working individuals. They work really, really hard. But are their outcomes the kind of outcomes that you will want in your life? Probably not. Why? Because they're doing something that's simply not a high value job. I'm not saying the job doesn't have any value, but doesn't have super high value. The job of the custodian is not of the same value level as that of the CEO in that exact same office building. Think of somebody who works really hard and they have pretty middling / average results. These might be most of the people around you, because most people by definition are average. So if you look around at your family members or the people in your community, maybe, or the people in, who knows, whatever area you spend a lot of your time, for most people, by definition, most of the people around you are getting average results, even though most of them probably work hard every single day. So we know that hard work is not the key, because there are hardworking people who have average results. There are hardworking people who have below average results. And there are also hardworking people who have super high level results. So since they all work hard, we can all deductively reason that working hard on its own is not the differentiating factor between success and a lack of success. Even though this gets preached to us all the time, that this person just works harder than everybody else, that's why they have more success. We know that that's not true. We know that that's nonsense. It sounds good. It feels good. And it feels good for us when we feel like we're working really hard. Like, yeah, this is what's going to separate me from everybody else. Not really. It depends on what you're working hard on and why you're doing that hard work. I mean, in other words, where are you trying to go with this hard work? That matters a lot more than just doing the hard work in itself. So it's hard work to be poor. It's hard work to be broke. It's hard work to be average, and it's hard work to be rich. So whatever outcome you end up with, you're going to be working hard. All right. Poor people got to work really hard to stay poor. Average people work hard to stay average. And rich people, or people at the top of the food chain or the top of the pyramid, they work hard to stay at the top of the pyramid. And again, you've heard this in the sports world, for example, where I come from. You hear people say, well, the best players just work the hardest. Or Michael Jordan worked harder than everybody else. So LeBron works harder than everybody. Or Kobe, he was just the hardest working player. And that's why they were better than everybody else. No, they worked hard. Their teammates worked hard too. I'm not saying every player worked equally the same amount. But the difference between those players is, first of all, do you have the ability? You have the tools to work with that can actually take you where you want to go. And then are you working hard with the talent that you have? As I said, the guy in the mail room at a company, a Fortune 500 company, they put in just as much, if not more work than the president of that company. But the president makes 100 times more money than the guy in the mailroom. Why? Because of what they're aiming for. The president aimed to be the president. The guy in the mailroom aimed to be the guy in the mailroom. Or maybe they didn't aim for that, but that's where they ended up. And usually in life, you end up pretty close to what you aim for. In life, you usually get what you expect. So if you aim for about an average level of output, you're going to end up at about an average level of output. If you aim for a super high level, you're going to end up somewhere at a super high level. It's and you're saying, and you may be saying to yourself, or maybe rhetorically saying to me, Dre, are you saying that if somebody just aims for a super high level of results, that alone is one of the main reasons why they will end up with a super high level of achievement? The answer is yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. When you aim for a high level of outcome, or high level of outcome, we'll call it that, you will accomplish at a high level if you are serious about that aim. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear here. There's a difference between saying that you want a super high level of outcome and you actually taking the actions and putting the efforts towards achieving a super high level of outcome. Because somebody could say, well, Dre, I want to make $10 million a month in my business. Now, saying it is not the same as you actually being serious about doing it. When you're serious about doing something, you're not just saying it. Your actions are a reflection of your desired outcomes. If you seriously believe something, you seriously want to achieve something, your actions will reflect it. So I'm not going off of what you say you want to do. I'm going off of what your actions are telling us and telling you. When I say us, I mean me and you, about what you seriously want to accomplish. So what are you doing every day? And is that reflective of where you actually want to end up? So the person who says they want to be in great physical shape, what's something that they will probably be doing? They're probably watching how they eat. They're probably making sure they're taking care of their body. They're probably going to the gym on a consistent basis. They're getting their workouts in all the time. They're not beating their body up with drugs and alcohol and things that are going to take them in the wrong direction. Why? Because they're serious about getting themselves in amazing shape. Their actions are a reflection of their desires. Now, somebody tells you that they really want to be in great shape, but they're taking drugs all the time. They're drinking alcohol. They're sleeping in every day. They're staying up late and then sleeping in. They're not really getting to the gym. And when they do, they're kind of bullshitting in there. Are they really serious about what they said? No. And which one do you believe, their words or their actions? Of course, we believe people's actions. So I want to make sure I'm putting that out there to help you all understand. Just because you said you want to achieve something doesn't mean you're serious. The player at the end of the bench on a sports team has to be in practice every day, just like the player who's a star of the team. They have to be in practice. But the star gets more rewards for their performance. Now, the question is, does the star provide more value than the person at the end of the bench? Of course they do. All right, that's why they're the star. Does the CEO of a company provide more value than the guy in the middle? Of course he does. That's why he or she is the CEO. I want you to understand something. That's a choice. Everybody hear that? That's a choice. Being the person working in the mailroom or the person who is the CEO is a choice. All right? Nobody ever became a CEO by accident. Nobody ever became a star player on a team by accident. You don't become the person at the top of the pyramid by accident. Success is not an accident, folks. Success always happens on purpose. You know what it means when I say on purpose? I want you to think about that phrase literally. You've heard the phrase before. What does it mean to be on purpose? It means you are on your purpose of achieving a specific outcome. You have decided that this is my purpose. This is what I'm going to do. Just got another pause connection. You stick to that purpose. And because you stick to the purpose and you're serious about it, you will take actions that reflect that desire. And if you take actions that reflect a certain desire often enough, for long enough, consistently and persistently enough, eventually you're going to get somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm not saying just because you take certain actions to get to $10 million a month means you're guaranteed to get to the 10 million, but you probably get close if you're taking actions that are reflective of that outcome. Now, again, talking about it and doing it are two completely different things. So what I want you to get from this point is that these are all choices. You can make a choice about where you want your hard work to take you. All right? Everybody's going to work hard regardless. All right? Again, you got to work hard to be poor. You got to work hard to be rich. You got to work hard to be average. Question is, where do you want your hard work to take you? Where do you want your hard work to help you end up? Are you just trying to get by? Are you trying to make ends meet? You just want to be doing okay? You just want to have enough to take care of yourself? Or are you trying to get super wealthy, super rich to where you just got more money than you can even count? Where do you want to end up? Now, I'm just using money as an example here, by the way. You can use this, you can apply this to any aspect of life, any aspect of your career, any aspect of your personal life, business life, anywhere in between. So one person will say something like, for example, 3 people go out for a job. One person says, hey, I want to try to get a job at this company. Person number 2 says, I'll take any job that they'll offer me at this company. And person number 3 says, I'm working here right now, but I want to run the whole place. I want to be the CEO of this entire company. You see how all 3 people got a job. And let's say all 3 of them get hired. One person said, I'll try to get a job. Another person said, I'll take any job they give me. Another person said, I want to run the company. All 3 of them went to work. All 3 of them getting paid. All 3 of them have a job and they all work hard. Where is each one going to end up? they're going to end up pretty close to, in the neighborhood of what they aimed for. So the person who said, I'll try, is going to usually end up somewhere in the bottom. The person who said, I'll take anything they offer me, is going to end up somewhere in the middle. And the person who said, I want to run the place, they're going to end up somewhere in the C-suite. Those are the executives, the chief executive officer, CFO, CEO, COO, the people at the top. All right. If any of you didn't know what that means, people with the great view from their office building. So another thing, on a sports team, you get 3 players try out for the team. One player says, I will try out for the team. Another player says, I'm going to make the team. Another player says, I'm going to be the star of the team and we're going to win the state championship. All 3 of them on the team. They all got to work hard. They all got to practice every day, but they have different aims, so they all end up in different places. Everybody understand that? Point number 2. Today we are talking why you need to aim higher. As I just said, as I just explained, as many of you should know, and to be honest, most of you could use yourself as an example here. Most people aim for average. Most people spend their entire lives and their entire careers aiming for the average. And this is why most people are average, because this is what most people aim for. And most people actually don't even think about what they're aiming for. They just live and end up wherever they end up. And because they're not intentional about where they end up in the middle with everybody else. And that's where the average lives. The average exists in the middle where everybody else is. Here's the challenge of being average. There are many challenges of being average. One of them is that all the competition is in the middle. All the competition in life is in the middle, in the average, where all the average people are. That's where the competition is at. Why? Because there's simply so many people there and everybody's trying to get there. The fiercest competition is in the place where there's the most people, simply because you got to fight through all these people just to get a little bit of attention, a little bit of sunlight for yourself. That's the biggest reason why the fiercest competition is where the most people are. It doesn't matter how good or bad they are. It's just so many of them. You got to fight through everybody just to get seen. And this is why most people struggle so hard at work. They are doing so much hard working. This is the reason why so many people work hard all their lives, yet never really get, to the level that they really want to get to. It's not because they're not good at their work. It is not because they're not good. It is because the competition is so fierce for average goals. It's just very hard to reach them simply because there's so many people grabbing for them. And then even when you're one of the ones who breaks through and you get to grab your goal was so average. Got another pause connection. Your goal was so average that even when you achieve it, you don't feel happy. You don't feel satisfied. Why? Because your goal was average. That even when you get it and it's like, yeah, this is it. This is all I got. Well, this is what you aim for. I mean, who set the goal? I mean, nobody made you set that goal. God didn't make you set the goal. Your family did not make you set that goal. Your community, your friends, your husband, your wife, your kids. Nobody made you set a certain goal. You chose a certain goal. And if that goal is an impotent goal, it doesn't matter how well you achieve it. It's so average that you're not even going to be happy even when you do it. See, this is the problem with setting average goals. Why do people set average goals then? Since this is a thing, you may be wondering, Dre, why do people even set average goals then if they're going to end up in this place? Let me tell you why. Because human beings, all of us, we are socially conditioned from the time that we are children to go after quote unquote realistic outcomes so that we don't subject ourselves to ridicule for either A, going for a big goal and coming up short, and we don't want to be ridiculed for failing, so we go for something that we know we can achieve. B, we set average goals because we don't want anybody looking at us crazy or thinking something's wrong with us, quote unquote, because we're trying to do something that the average person would never try to do. So we don't want to be ostracized for trying to go after what nobody else is willing to go after. So we basically try to fit in. So we see everybody else going after an average goal. We go after an average goal, even if we don't want to, simply because we want to be socially accepted by all the people around us. The problem is most of the people around you are average. So when you try to be like most of the people around you, you're trying to be average, which means you are basically facilitating your own mediocrity. That's what happens. You facilitate your mediocrity by going after being like everybody else. The challenge is to be different from everybody else. You have to stand out, and you're going to be alone by yourself sometimes. There are going to be some times where you do feel isolated. Most human beings are so uncomfortable with this prospect that they would instead be mediocre just so they can be surrounded by friends, rather than be by yourself and actually achieve the outcomes that you want to achieve. That we're socially conditioned for mediocrity. Human beings are. But here's the problem when you are going after what you've been socially conditioned to do, which is be average, is that you have to compete against the whole world. You got to compete against 90% of people who are aiming for average. So you got about 5% of people, we'll even say 80, let's say 80%. I'll be generous, say 80%. About 10% of people are at the bottom of the pyramid. They ain't got nothing going on. They are low level, low achievers, not really doing much, underachievers, not getting much done. These are the people that when you pay your taxes, those tax dollars go to make sure that they have a place to live and they got food, clothing, shelter. All right, those are the people at the bottom 10%. So any of you who ever falsely believe that the government is designed to do anything for you, no, they're not. Government is designed to take from you and give to people who can't afford to or are incapable of or have proven incapable of taking care of themselves. So any of you who's taking care of yourself, you pay your bills and you pay your taxes and you got a job and all that, government is not designed to help you. Government is designed to help people who ain't doing any of that. All right, people living on the corner with a cardboard sign, that's who the government takes your money and gives it to them. Okay, that's about 10% of people. Then there's another 10% of people, they're at the top. These are the people who, when you see government people, politicians talking about, well, we gotta tax people more and people should pay their fair share and people who make this much money shouldn't be paying less in taxes. And then you had probably about 15 years ago now, and they had that Occupy Wall Street thing, and you had a whole bunch of average middle class people who protested in the middle of the park in New York City talking about, hey, there are people who make way more money than us and they shouldn't be making more and they're the 1%, we're the 99%. Remember that Occupy Wall Street thing? The people they were protesting are the people at the top 10%. They're protesting the people at the top 10%. The ironic thing about that Occupy Wall Street situation is that the people who took off in the middle, they slept in the middle of the park for a week protesting the fact that they didn't have money. You know who the people they were protesting, you know what those people were doing while they were being protested? They were at work, working. All right, so no wonder they're in the top 10% while the average people are in the park protesting. You should think about that, what that really means, what it really reflects. So you got 10% at the top, you got 10% at the bottom, the other 80% are in the middle. Most people are in the middle. And again, not because you have to be in the middle, not because God deemed you that you have to be in the middle and God destined you to be in the middle, is because your goals are aiming for the middle. The goals that you set for yourself have you aiming for the middle, and that's why you're in the middle right now. If you change your goals and you're serious about them, meaning you take actions around your expectations, you will get out of the bottom 80%. You can start ascending and get closer to, or maybe even join that top 10%. But this is a conscious decision you had to make, and you had to take some action around it. A real decision is followed by action, not by words, not by social media posts, by actual actions. Real decisions are followed by actions, folks. All right, not by words, not by what you posted on Facebook, but what you actually did. So the fiercest competition is for average people or the average middle, and we are all socially conditioned to be average. That's why it's so much competition. The challenge is you got to go against the whole world. You're competing against the whole world when you try to be average, because you're competing against 80% of the population. All right, and there are 8 billion plus people on the planet. You're competing against 80% of them. That's a lot of people. All right, y'all can do the math on how many that is. That's a lot of people. But let me tell you how to reduce competition. All right, you want to eliminate competition, aim higher. Simple as that. The simple way for you to eliminate competition is to aim higher. If you want to have less competition, less people that you have to beat, all you got to do is set your goals higher. And if any of you like these, kind of these quotes that I say sometimes when I'm doing these lives, get my daily motivation text that I send out every single day to everyone who is in my text community. I send that message out from my number 305-384-6894. I'll put it in the chat right here. So if you want to get that daily motivation text that I send out every day, just text me at that number right here. So you reduce competition by aiming higher. And then what happens is you improve your odds, and you didn't even get better. You didn't even change your ability or skill level or talent level or anything. All you did was just reduce competition. So if you're in a competition with 6 billion people, there's a certain amount of chance that you'll win and a big chance that you'll lose. But if you reduce your competition by, let's say, 90%, now you're only in competition with, let's just do the math on that. Let's do the math here so we can make this easy. And I'm going to pull up a new search here so we can actually get the real numbers here. Let's see what we got. What is 80% of 8 billion? 80% of 8 billion. Why didn't it give me the number? All right, so now I'm going to type it in here. 8 that's 80,000, 8 million. That's 8 million, 80 million, 800 million, 8 billion. All right, 80% of 8 billion is 6 billion 400 million people. So you can compete against 6 billion 400 million people, or you compete against 10% of them, which is only 800,000 people, which is a lot less. 800,000 still sounds like a lot of people, but it's a lot less people. You have immediately improved your odds of success simply because you reduced the amount of competition that you have. All right, so if you're trying to get a job, right, and you're going there for the job interview, and there's 20 other people trying to get that one job, you got a 1 in 20 chance of getting the job, because it's just simple mathematics, right? You got to beat out 20 other people to get the job if it's 20 of you going after the job. But if instead there was only 2 people going after the job, you and one other person, well, now you got a 50% chance of getting the job. Why? Because you only got one other person competing against you. So if you just go somewhere where there's less competition, you automatically improve your odds of achieving your outcome. How do you do this? You set bigger goals, because most people set very small goals and average goals, and that's where all the competition is. So if you set bigger goals, you eliminate a whole bunch of that competition and you increase your odds of achieving your outcome, because you don't have to fight through the whole world, 6.4 billion people to get to your goal. You only got to fight through 800,000, and 800,000 is very small compared to 6.4 billion people. We're talking about like an 8x difference, not like definitely an 8x difference, with no change in ability, no change in effort. Everybody got that? And I'll answer questions at the end of this. So if you posted a question, just stay tuned. After I get through point number 3, I will answer questions. Point number 3, we are talking today about how to aim higher. Number 3, can you apply your same resources in a different way or in a different place or for different people to produce a higher level result? The answer, that's a rhetorical question, but the answer is yes. Can you take the same resources, your time, your money, your attention, your energy, and your focus, and use them in a different way to get a different outcome? Take the same skill level. You don't have to get any better skill-wise. You don't have to get more talented. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to put in more time. All you have to do is ask yourself, how can I take these same things that I'm doing and apply them in a different way to get a completely different outcome? Your skill level does not need to change. Your aims need to change. What are you aiming for? That needs to change. Jay-Z had a line in one of his songs. He says, nothing wrong with the aims, it's got to change the target. And that's exactly what I want you all to get from this point. You could take the same aim that you have right now, the same skill level. When I say aim, the skill level. Take your same skill level, apply it in a different place, and all of a sudden you're producing 10 times the return on investment simply because you're serving a higher level individual. It's kind of like those of you who are in sales. You could sell to the average person. You could sell your products and services to the average person. Average salary in America for someone working full time is about $48,000 a year. You could sell your products to people who are earning about $48,000 a year. Well, there's a certain limit to how much your product can cost when you're selling to people who only make $48,000 in a year. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you if you want to serve those individuals. The challenge is there's a limit to how much you can charge for your product because of how much money those people have, discretionary and available. But what if instead you start selling your products and services to people who added a zero onto that income and they're making $480,000 a year? Could you raise your prices? Could you raise your prices? Could you sell fewer products to fewer people yet make a lot more money if your prices were higher? Any of you who's in sales understands, because some of you, and this is the small-minded thinking that a lot of people have, well, Dre, if I sold to people who had less money, I could make a real low price and I could just sell in volume. I could just sell a whole bunch of them because there's so many more people. I could sell a lot more of them. Theoretically, that sounds good, but it doesn't actually work like that in real life. As they say, real life alters the lab test. All right, trust me, you're talking to somebody who has outsold products from $4.99 all the way up to 5-figure and 6-figure coaching programs. The higher ticket products, you will make more money. All right, I understand the concept, the thought that, all right, if I just put it at a really low price, then that means it's easy for everybody to buy and I can sell a whole bunch of them and I'll make a whole bunch of money just by selling a whole bunch of very low priced products. Yes, theoretically that makes sense, but you go into real life. So you can trust me on that, or you can go try it yourself and you can utilize your time. You can use your resource, your most valuable one, and try to figure that out on your own. It does not work that way unless you happen to be, you have economies of scale. If you're like Walmart or Amazon, you could do it then. But do you have Walmart or Amazon's marketing budget? Or do you have the robots that they have? Do you have their team? Do you have their systems? If not, then you're not going to sell a whole bunch of a low budget item. And also, when you sell low budget items, guess who you attract? low budget customers, and you don't want to deal with them. Trust me. Again, you can take my word for it, or you can do it on your own. So you can apply those same resources in different places. So let's take another example. Let's use Jay-Z as an example. All right, I just grabbed one of his lines from his song. I'll give you another example. So those of you know the story of Jay-Z, you know when he was first trying to get on as a rapper, he was just trying to get signed to a contract, like most rappers did back. These days, a lot of rappers pretty much are kind of have their independent situations going on. They can kind of be entrepreneurs. But back in the 90s, if you are a rapper and you want to get on and put your music out, you usually try to get a record deal and you try to sign with a company. So Jay-Z tried to get a record deal and sign with the company. He was working hard at it, but nobody was interested in signing Jay-Z. So Jay-Z took his same rapping skills, his same abilities that he had already had yesterday, and he said, all right, me and my partners, we're going to start our own company. I'm going to sign myself to my company. So now I don't need anybody's okay. And we're going to put the same music that people were rejecting. We're going to put this out on our own. So Jay-Z started doing that, and Jay-Z became Jay-Z. That was 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago. Jay-Z became Jay-Z. All he did was take his same skill set that he had before that everyone was rejecting. He applied that skill set in a different place and in a different way, same skills, and all of a sudden he got a different outcome. Instead of trying to be an employee working for somebody's company or a contractor working for some company as a rapper, he decided to make himself a CEO and work for himself as a rapper. And all of a sudden he got a completely different outcome. All he did was change his aim. His skill level did not change. His ability to rap did not change. The only thing that changed was his aim. So again, there's a lot of competition when you're trying to do the same thing that everybody else is trying to do. And the problem with that is not everybody's going to win. Not everybody can win that race because it's just too many damn people in that race. Not somebody's going to win. Challenge is not everybody can win. And there's a good chance it won't be you simply because it's too many people. So the result is everybody knows who Jay-Z is. So let's look at somebody like Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump. I'll give you an example from Donald Trump. And I'm not political Donald Trump, businessman Donald Trump. And if none of you has ever read Donald Trump's, the books that he wrote before he got into politics. I don't think he wrote any books since politics. Maybe he did, but I don't know. But The Art of the Deal is a book that you should read. And I know he had a ghostwriter, but listen, most of your favorite big name authors, they have ghostwriters too. So Donald Trump, if you read that book, The Art of the Deal, and he had another one. He had several books. It was another, I forget the name of it. It was called, I can't remember the name of the book, but he did one with Robert Kiyosaki. He's done a couple books, but who else before Donald Trump did it? Those of you old enough to remember, back in the 80s and the 90s, who else was putting their name on buildings the way that he did? Nobody. Who else is putting their name on a building? I mean, even to this day, who puts their name on buildings? He was the one who did that. And why does that matter? Why am I using that as an example? Because by doing that, he made a brand out of himself. He made a brand out of himself to where his name was strong enough that when he decided to run for president, he got a whole lot of attention and he was able to actually really be a serious contender for the role to where he actually won, right? And he's probably going to run again and we'll see what happens. The whole point was he branded himself and he made himself into someone that everybody knew his name because he put his name on buildings. There's a bunch of people building buildings. Nobody put their names on it. So what did he do? He eliminated competition by doing something that nobody else was doing. That's the point that I want you to get. Here's something else that you will have to read his books to understand this. That when Trump was building, he was building a whole lot of buildings in Manhattan, which is, any of you been to Manhattan or you live in New York, you know that Manhattan is all tall buildings, right? You go there, it's all tall buildings. Now, at the time that Trump was really starting to build in New York, this is late 70s going into the 80s, New York was not what it is now. All right, Manhattan was not what it is now. It was kind of run down. There was a lot of crime. People didn't really want to do business in New York. People really didn't want to invest in New York because they looked at it as a kind of this beat up place that didn't have anything going on. Trump saw an opportunity there. So what did he do? He went to the city and he said to the city, look, I want to build a big building here where nobody else wants to build a building. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me a tax break to where I don't have to pay any taxes on this building for like 100 years. And I want you to give me a lease with no taxes, which is unheard of in construction, that he didn't have to pay tax. Basically, he got the land for free. It's pretty much how he did it, just to simplify what he did. And they gave it to him. And he did it several times with several different buildings to where everything that he got out of those buildings was pure profit. Why does that matter? Because he eliminated competition by asking for something that nobody else is willing to ask for. That's the point. It's the same thing for you. He had an aim that nobody else thought it was even reasonable to even ask for that. So he asked for it. He asked for the thing that nobody else even thought. I'm not even going to ask for that because nobody's going to say yes to it. He said, I'm going to ask for it. And somebody said yes. He got it. And that led to him building so many buildings, putting his name on those buildings, building a brand around his name, becoming a famous household name individual to where everybody in the world knew who he was even before he got into politics. And now everybody in the world knows who he is even after politics. Why? Because he decided to brand himself in a way that nobody else had even thought about doing, let alone tried to do. Everybody get what I'm saying here? He asked for the tax breaks. He got it. He ran for president. And nobody ever thought a person who didn't have any background in politics could actually win. He ran. Other people who didn't have a background in politics said, I'm not even going to try. Or they tried, but they didn't get any real traction. I mean, they tried, but did they really have a chance? Not really. All right, he tried and he was serious and he did it. Even if you disagree with the outcomes, I want you to pay attention to the aim. All right, forget about the outcomes. Forget how you personally feel about anybody that I mentioned here. I want you to think about the aims that they had and think about how you can use those in your own situation. Don't miss the message because you have some issue with a person that's mentioned in the message. Right? I want you to get the message. That's the point here, because what we're talking about here, work on your game, is all about performance and results. We're in a performance and a results based business. It's not about your feelings and emotions. Not that they don't matter, but that ain't the real thing that we're talking about here. We're talking about outcomes. So with that said, let me recap these points. Topic is why you need to aim higher. All right, number one, work is work no matter what. All right, so you can work hard and be average. You can work hard and be broke. You can work hard and be rich. Either way, you're going to work hard. So you might as well work hard on something that's actually going to get you to where you want to go. The guy working in the mailroom and making 50 grand a year, which is about a little bit over the average American salary, is working just as hard, if not harder, than the CEO who is in the penthouse office. He's making $5 million a year. Which one would you rather do? Now, the question is, most people will say they want to make the $5 million. Okay, let's look at your actions. Are your actions a reflection of the fact that you want to make $5 million? Or are your actions, do you have $50,000 a year actions, but you're talking like you want to make $5 million? So let me ask you a question. When somebody is talking one way, but acting a different way, gotta pause connections. So someone's talking one way and acting a different way, which one do you believe? Their words or their actions? And you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself that same question about you. Number two, most people aim for the average. This is where all the competition is. This is why most people end up average, because they're all competing against each other. So they're all competing for the average. They're fighting over the scraps of being average. 80% of people are average, 10% of people are at the bottom, and 10% of people are at the top. Where do you want to be? The competition, the biggest competition is where the most people are. All right, you can eliminate a whole lot of competition by simply playing a different game than what everybody else is playing. The reason why most people end up average is because we are socially conditioned to go after what we call realistic outcomes. So we don't subject ourselves to ridicule for losing, or we don't get ostracized for trying something that most other people would not try. The thing is, if you try to fit in with most other people, you are by definition making yourself average. Number three, can you apply your same resources in a different way or in a different place? Again, think about someone like Jay-Z. He was trying to get a record deal. Nobody wanted to sign him. He took his same rap skills that did not change, applied them to being the owner of his company instead of an employee of someone else's company. And all of a sudden he became Jay-Z. His rap skills didn't change. All he did was change the aim of what he was going after. He changed his aims. He raised his standards of what he wanted. And all of a sudden he got a completely different set of outcomes. Donald Trump, same thing. Who else was putting their names on buildings before him? Nobody. Still to this day, nobody puts their names on a building the way that he does. And who was asking for tax breaks from the city of New York? He said, New York, I'll build this building, but I don't want to pay any taxes on the land. And they said yes. And most people thought it was ridiculous to even think about asking for that, let alone to really ask for it. He asked for it and he got it because he was willing to go after what most people were not willing to go after. That's why he got a different outcome than most everybody else. So all of you need to think about this. How can you change your aim so that you can get a lot different outcomes in what you are doing? So let me see if I got any questions that can be addressed here. If you got a question, put it in the comment section and I'll address a couple of them. Question is, what helps you with asking higher leverage questions? Well, I just told you that. I just spent the last 40 minutes telling you that. Let's see what else we got. Parallel between triple threat position in the business world. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know where you got that question from. Do I recommend studying people you strive to become like? I recommend you listen to the Work on Your Game Masterclass, and I'll tell you what exactly you can do to get to where you want to go. Let's see. And Work on Your Game Masterclass comes on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play. Y'all know all the places you find podcasts. So just go to wherever you listen to podcasts and look up my show. It's called Work on Your Game. It comes out every single day, free of charge. Let me put it in here. I actually put the link to the Work on Your Game Masterclass homepage. So if you just go to workonyourgamepodcast.com, you can get all the links to all your favorite podcasting apps. They will all be there on that page. So if you need a link to Apple, you need a link to Spotify, etc., they're all there on that page, workonyourgamepodcast.com. Let's see. Question is, what would be considered aiming higher? What are some examples of actions aiming higher? Again, I just answered that over the last 40 minutes. So if you listen to what I just said, I already gave you that. M. Guerrera, appreciate you. Question is, who was the coach that helped you the most in life? Where are you getting these questions from? Chat GPT? Ask me questions actually relevant to the topic. Alonzo, you sound like you got these out of an AI bot. Responsibility, what's going on? Good afternoon to you. So he's brilliant, although most people hate him. I would say about half of people hate him. I wouldn't say most. I'd say about half. Let's see. Questions. What are examples of aiming higher, like waking up early and making more money? Listen to the live. I just talked for 40 minutes straight about why you need to aim higher. If you listen to what I said, then you heard me. If you didn't get it, then watch this on replay. I'll put it on YouTube too. It'll be on YouTube in about a week or so. So workonyourgamepodcast.com. That's where you can get links to all the platforms where my podcast comes out. Is a daily podcast, about 20 minutes a day. Sometimes a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter sometimes, but just me talking. So you want to hear me give full game like I just did on this live, just tune into the Work on Your Game podcast. Comes out every single day. Let's see what I've been talking about on the show. I'm going to look at some of my recent episodes. So let's see how many episodes I got. All these unplayed episodes. So episode 2527, the real job of a salesperson. Episode 2528, never go cheap on your investments. Next episode, your business growth steps. Next, the worst mistakes that a man can make in life. Next, how to ask for help. Next, who I want in my audience. And also, I know the next episode tomorrow will be who I don't want in my audience. Those are just some of the last few episodes of the Work on Your Game Masterclass. This is the Apple version. This is the Apple podcast version. So y'all know what the artwork looks like. So when you pull it up, you'll know what it looks like. It looks just like that. That's the Work on Your Game. This is on Apple, but on Spotify. See if I can pull up the Spotify version. So any of you looking for my show, when you're on Spotify searching, you got to make sure you type in, you go to the podcast search, not just the regular search. You got to make sure you look in the podcast search. So this is the art. You can see it even bigger on Spotify. This is Work on Your Game. Let me see. What is this? Oh, so they got me in, so library, Work on Your Game. Here we go. Work on Your Game right there. So it's like this when you pull it up on Spotify. So pull me up on Apple or Spotify. That's where most people listen to podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app. You use a different one, then you probably know how to find it. So Kiel, I appreciate you. Oh yeah, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's your next step. Any of you who want got another pulse connection. Any of you want to work with me directly, you want to be coached by me on developing the bulletproof mindset that you need to be your best version of your best self and run your business as a pure entrepreneur. You want the strategies and the game plans to actually make this stuff work consistently. You want the system that allows you to do the same things the same way every time, so you know exactly what's going to happen. You can predict your outcomes, and the accountability and execution to make sure you're getting your stuff done every single day over and over and over and over again, like a true professional, and more. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is the link in my bio on IG, is the pinned comment on Facebook if you're watching this on Facebook, and is the pinned comment that I got here in the live on Instagram. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com, and it's down in the description if you're watching this on replay on YouTube. So responsibility said, I don't think I found anyone that had more online content than you. Some people might have more overall posts, but as far as original content, I got the most. I think you're right. I got the most. As far as original content. Now, some people repurpose their stuff and they take one video and they make 30 posts out of one video. But as far as originally created material, I think I do have the most, at least from the time that I've been on the internet. So I would agree with you. So workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's a more important stat. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, where we could take your game to where you need it to be for your business. If you want to work with me directly, that's the only place you can do it, is to join the university. Again, that's workonyourgameuniversity.com. There you'll see your options. You can get access to all the frameworks and the codified programs that we already have in place. You can hop on a call with me and my team, so you can find out how we can actually help you, take you where you want to go, depending on where you're at right now. And what else can you do there? That's pretty much all you can do. We make it real simple so that nobody's confused. We're not going to confuse you. We're going to make it real simple to help you go to your next level in your business. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to record some more material for the Work on Your Game masterclass as soon as this live is over. I think I answered everything. Javi, what's going on? Good afternoon to you. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap this up. This will be, oh, you got the Super U? All right, shout out to everybody got the Super U. So you got the Super U. Next one you got to get is the third day. Hopefully you got the Bulletproof Bundle responsibility. Hopefully you got the Bulletproof Bundle, which was 4 books. Hope you didn't get just 1 book. Because who reads this 1 book? Nobody. So you might as well get the third day, which is that book right there. Third day is that red book right there. So get the third day next if you don't have it already. If you already got that, then get Work on Your Game, which is this book right here. You get that at workonyourgamebook.com. Third day is at thirddaybook.com. Let me put these links in here. Oh, you got the Bulletproof Bundle? All right, shout out to you for getting that Bulletproof Bundle. Next, get the third day then. Get the third day and the Work on Your Game system manual. And then you want to get the Work on Your Game book. But actually, when you get the third day, we're going to send you through a funnel. We're going to offer you the Bulletproof Bundle. You don't have to get that because you already got it. But then on the next page, we're going to offer you the 4-book Mental Game Super Duper Bundle, which is Work on Your Game, the Mental Workbook, all 3 of these books you see right here. 1, Work on Your Game. 2, Mental Workbook. 3, 30 Days of Discipline. And 4 is Bulletproof Mindset. I don't have that facing frontward so you can't see it, but you would get that too. So you get all 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4 is Bulletproof Mindset. And you'll get third day, which is 5. And you get the Work on Your Game system manual, which is that book up there. You can see the spine. So boom, that's 6 books right there. Because again, who reads 1 book? Nobody reads just 1 book. So go to thirddaybook.com, get yourself the third day. And then after you do all that, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com because the books are great. Listen, I wrote the books. They are amazing. But you're trying to get to your next level. I'm talking to everybody here. You're trying to get to your next level business-wise, professionally. A book alone is not going to be enough because if all we needed was books, then, well, I wouldn't have a university. If all we needed was books, there wouldn't be colleges. We just have libraries, right? And Amazon, and that'd be it. But we need more than that. So the book will whet your appetite. It'll give you, it's like an appetizer, let you know where we're going. Is a amuse bouche, get you ready. But now we gotta get you to the main course, which is the university. All right, everybody got that? All right, so that's it, everybody. Y'all have a good afternoon. Text me. Let me put my text number in here one more time. If you are not getting my daily motivation text me right now at this number. If you are not getting my daily motivation text, send me a text right now at the number that I'm posting in the comments. Number is 305-384-6894. I'm going to post it on Facebook as well. If you are not getting the daily motivation text, send a text to this number immediately so that you are getting the daily motivation that I send out for free every single day to my text community. Let me see. I haven't gone through my text today. But look, these are the texts in my Instagram. I won't be showing you all the text. So these are the texts in my text community. I haven't responded to these yet, but I'm going to go through and check some of these texts. I do actually respond to my text messages. So some people will be thinking, oh, do you have your team do it or my assistant or something like that? I have access to every text that comes through. So any text that comes through, I see it. I don't respond to every single text that I get, but I do go through and respond to text. So when you get a response, unless somebody says this is not Dre, it's Dre that responds. So y'all text me at that number right there. All y'all have a good afternoon. Work on your game. Got it.